Story 1. I can be too emotional and take things personally. I overthink a lot about old things and new things until I make myself worried or sad, even angry. I expect people to care as much as I do or treat me nicely when they don't have to. I always end up reaching out to old friends, even if it ended badly. I need to stop that one. Story 2. I'm not trusting. Low self-esteem. Quick to jump to conclusions but very slow to voice them. I also can have quite the temper, but I have a really long fuse, so it's not so bad. Story 3. Alcoholic. Emotionally detached. General anxiety disorder. I would rather work than hang out with you. I know how government and economics work and know how much we are lied to. I have a master's degree. Full-time bartender. Story 4. One of my biggest flaws is definitely overthinking. I will replay conversations in my head or stress about little things that probably don't even matter to anyone else. Another one is procrastination. I always leave things until the last minute, even though I know it would be so much less stressful to just get them done earlier. And honestly, I can be a bit too hard on myself sometimes, like I'll focus more on what I did wrong instead of what I did right. But hey, I guess we're all a work in progress, right? Story 5. How quickly I can romanticize people and get attached, my fat forehead. Me being a hopeless romantic, too judgmental, overthinker, the list goes on, buddy. Story 6. My biggest flaw is that I overthink a lot. I make up awful scenarios in my head about stuff that doesn't happen, although my ex did prove me otherwise. Apart from that, I am very ADHD. I am impulsive. I can be very loud or very quiet depending on what time of day it is or how I am feeling. And I can have random rapid outbursts of energy, which some people can't handle. Story 7. Self-doubt and low personal self-esteem, which result in harmful habits like avoidance, depression, procrastination, and anxiety in social situations. I usually bottle my emotions up until they inevitably leak out, which, yes, I admit isn't everyone's cup of tea. I've had friendships go sour that way. Working on it by myself mostly nowadays. No one is perfect, and I'm not trying to be. I did have perfectionism in my 20s, but as I've gotten older, I feel the I don't give a care mode becoming more entrenched. Story 8. My big worry is that I am so afraid of what could go wrong that I never do it to begin with. This has made me miss out on so many opportunities that it is heartbreaking. Story 9. Social anxiety. I have trouble speaking when I am outside in public. It is as if I want to speak, but it is like in a dream where you try to speak, but your body does not cooperate. Kind of feels like there is a seal on my vocal cords every time I want to say something. Story 10. My brain became too intelligent. Being able to see everyone's flaws, understanding the reason behind those flaws, and then excusing said flaws. Making excuses for difficult people, I'm good at that. So often, I'll accidentally defend a difficult person, much to the major annoyance of the actual victim. I overthink. I don't know, how can you ever be sure if you're overthinking? Is there some line somewhere? I procrastinate. Because of childhood trauma, I exaggerate my issues. I think people won't take them seriously, which is most of the time false. It's just a weird habit. I think I'm superior to the average human. I got myself tested for narcissism. The result was negative. I didn't have it. To my surprise, because I'm the most amazing human I know. I got some addiction issues I'm working on, weed and nicotine. Story 11. Too much visceral fat. I am far too dismissive when people are being ridiculous. I should just shine them on more. In an argument or discussion on an issue in which I am versed, I explain my position about 3 layers deeper than the other person has the capability of understanding. I am far too lazy to be truly dominant. Story 12. I'm stubborn as hell. That can be both a positive and a negative thing. I have very limited self-esteem and a nostalgia filter for the way my life used to be before I got really sick. Trust issues. Kind of funny looking. I think Nickelback is a good band. Story 13. I need control, at least some sort of control over situations. I can't stand someone else managing something that I am involved in. Before you think this is pure toxic behavior, I am working with a psychologist who specializes in anxiety to deal with this. Story 14. No one is flawless, of course, but this idea makes me think that everything is my fault, even if it wasn't. And of course, letting people play with my feelings, and I'm pretty sure it's my fault. Story 15. Flaws are tricky things to nail down. What one person considers a flaw, another person may consider an asset. So, a more accurate phrasing of the question to others may be, what do you see in yourself as a flaw? That said, a flaw I see in myself is that I am often too picky with Reddit post titles. Story 16. I have a really hard time expressing my feelings in the moment. Like, when I try to express my feelings, I shut down and just keep it in, whether good or bad. Story 17. I am not trusting. Low self-esteem. Quick to jump to conclusions, but very slow to voice them. I also can have quite the temper, but I have a really long fuse, so it is not so bad. Story 18. I tend to get complacent after I do really well on the first exam of the semester, and then my effort starts to slip. I've morphed into a procrastinator ever since I've gotten to college. When I'm in a conversation with someone I am not familiar with, I tend to think about what I am going to say next instead of thinking about what they are trying to say to me. Story 19. A few, but my 50-50 luck is like being able to make the perfect pasta, but somehow breaking the bottle of the drink I was going to have with it, or cutting into the perfect-looking tomato only to see it moldy on the inside. Story 20. My word, do I hold a grudge? I still remember slights from when I was 4 years old and still feel visceral resentment and anger. I'm trying to work on it, but, it's hard. Story 21. Oh, I don't know. I sing in the shower. Sometimes I spend too much time volunteering. Occasionally, I'll hit somebody with my car. So sue me. No, don't sue me. That is the opposite of the point that I'm trying to make. Story 22. I lack discipline. It affects every aspect of my life. My sleeping schedule, my work productivity, my health and fitness, everything. I've been getting better at being disciplined in the gym. I figure I'll take each aspect of my life and focus on it until it becomes habitual, and then move on to the next. Story 23. Procrastination. I am supposed to be deep cleaning my house for family flying in tomorrow, but I have been so exhausted lately and sad. I took a nap, and now I just feel utterly behind. Story 24. I get overly enthusiastic. Men misinterpret it as romantic interest, and at work, I tend to pick up too many side projects because I genuinely like everything. Story 25. I am too direct and refuse to play the politics game at work or in my volunteering. I am just direct, and I don't understand office politics. Like, I just want to do my job and maybe get a raise, but I've had quite a few people tell me I need to figure it out. Story 26. I am a people pleaser, and people step all over me, especially at work. I wish I had more of a backbone and have been working on it. I also overthink everything to death. I get anxiety and become overwhelmed very quickly. Story 27. Which are not my flaws? It would be the right question. I feel better than most people. I think I am more beautiful and gorgeous than almost everyone around me. Even I believe that I am more clear-headed and smart. Thus, I am egocentric, narcissistic, and sociopathic. Those are a few flaws, aren't they? Story 28. I generally dislike everything. It's all a frustration. Everyone and everything is in the way. It's all pointless things created by foolish people. A big frustration. I have to face challenges because of how other people around me design the world. I have to struggle because my parents were not wealthy or knowledgeable, and I'm not motivated or clever enough to figure out how to escape a life of hard work. Everything is too expensive. I'm required to own a car and drive it to get to places I don't want to be. I have to share the road with individuals who aren't careful. I don't have the means to access things that would make my life significantly more comfortable. I have to work 40 hours a week. I have to work 40 hours a week. It's complaining. If I'm not constantly checking myself, I'll complain about everything all the time. I'll drive people away from me because I just complain about things. I dislike this whole planet and wish for it to fail miserably. Story 29. I talk too much. I over-explain. I take what should be a simple conversation and expand it into something so enormous that my partner assumes I am hinting at something else, instead of simply over-explaining something straightforward. I repeatedly check to ensure she understands, but I don't realize she already grasped the basic concept and is trying to address the 3 new issues I have unintentionally raised with my rambling conversation. I don't know when to stop talking. Story 30. I probably keep the bar too high for most people. I always expect people to care about things that I care about and handle things the way that I feel like I would, and am usually disappointed when that doesn't happen. Obviously, I'm aware that I'm doing it, but it doesn't change how I feel initially. It's like an ongoing fight with myself, proactively reminding myself that they don't think like me and trying to keep my mouth shut. I'm also horrible at advocating for myself, but always have my friends' backs. Story 31. Once I said I was a people pleaser, and my ex said emphatically, "You are definitely not that. Blissful lack of self-awareness is where I am at. How about you?" Story 32. I'm bad at talking. It's hard for me to be on time. I get upset if people act like they need too much of my attention. I have trouble focusing. I'm terrified of other people's jealousy, so I try to stay in the background. When I was younger, I didn't trust my own judgment and people could talk me out of my emotions. I have sensory issues and can flip out or refuse to do things and other people don't understand. I have avoidant/restrictive food intake disorder. I'm tired. I don't naturally understand emotional things that well. I can't read people's nonverbal language that easily in the moment. I forget to text people and I don't text first. I am not interested in small talk. I know it serves an important purpose, but that doesn't mean I want to do it. I don't currently have a job. I have health trauma and occasionally get panic attacks. I've had a psychotic episode, stress-induced. I can't handle being under anyone else's control at all. I'm difficult. I'm not a people person. I do not want to meet people or get to know people. I have weird sleep issues. I can't just sleep like a normal person. My esophagus is slightly dysfunctional. I never feel good. I like to complain and I like listening to people complain. I like narcissists. Sometimes I'm wrong about something. I used to like Ayn Rand. I can't write an outline to save my life. I have trouble putting my thoughts into words. I have to script myself for some normal conversations. I lied to my grandma one time. I go into relationships I probably shouldn't and leave for the same reasons I shouldn't have been optimistic, but I still choose to be optimistic and honestly, I hardly regret it, but I hurt myself and a lot of other people. I don't really know how to have a lasting romantic relationship. I've worked on my relationship skills, but I don't know if they were working because I am not in a situation to test them. I make huge messes and ruin everything. I destroy every item that comes into my possession in surprising ways. Definitely not on purpose. And lastly, I drive a big truck, and that's bad for the environment. Story 33. Inconsistency. I cannot do something consistent or balanced to save my life. Either I am excelling in this area and neglecting that thing, or it is the other way around. Story 34. Being a perfectionist, there are still issues with code I wrote 12 years ago for a company I no longer work for. I would fix them for free on a weekend if they would let me. Story 35. Without reading, I guess the same as everyone else's. I think a lot of us all have the same human things going on in our heads. It's just the time, place, and support we have around us that maybe dictates how we deal with them. We all just need to lift each other up all the time and together flourish. Sounds like a nice place, I think. Story 36. My fear of failure and need for personal perfection paralyzes me from starting many things and taking a lot of chances. I have a wicked tongue when someone angers me. Thankfully, it takes a lot to anger me. I am not a great housekeeper. I am not very organized even though I want to be. I buy all the things to be organized, but my fear of failing keeps me from using them properly. Story 37. I say mean things when I feel attacked. And I have a supernatural ability to know exactly the thing that is somebody's secret, deepest, darkest insecurity, and I nuke them. It made so much sense when I developed that skill as a small child being bullied in elementary school. I was never going to be strong enough to fight the bullies, but you verbally dismember them so bad that the whole class went, "Oh, who," and they tended to leave you alone afterward. There was power and safety in it. But as an adult, when I'm just being insecure and feeling like my boyfriend is being kind of rude, or when my manager says something I feel is disrespectful, it gets to be a problem. I've gotten way better, but I hate it when I do it. I feel like I go full Mr. Hyde mode and wake up afterward, regretting what I've done. I really want to rewire that old connection and would welcome advice from anyone else who had a similar defense mechanism and successfully unloaded it. Story 38. I don't do anything. I just expect everything to work out, which has worked for the whole 18 years I've lived, and now that I actually have to do stuff, I never get it done. In simple terms, I'm overwhelmed and have no clue what's going on. Story 39. I'm an overthinker. I can't help but talk about a subject over and over because it's a problem for me to let it go. I don't like people, especially women, who cross my boundaries. I let my dislike for people cloud my judgment of them. I have a cruel demeanor when I think people are trying to take advantage of a person who is kind and considerate of other people. I don't warm up to people very easily. Story 40. My insecurities, negative attitude, negative mindset, blaming others, ungrateful, full of excuses, mad at the world, irresponsible, non-independent, coward, lack of heart, prefers to stay in his comfort zone, impulsive spender, man-child, idiot, loser, slow, scared to say no, people pleaser. Story 41. I am always late. I am brutally honest, and sometimes my delivery isn't always the best. When I am upset or if people upset me, I give silent treatment. I am very detached, and the idea of people being attached to me is scary. I am risk-averse and definitely push my limits with this one.